No, you can't. Unfortunately, we don't share audio. So maybe you can just type on the text on the chat. Let's have a look. I think the information is important. Please start recording, sir. Okay, yeah, thank you for that. I'm actually starting the recording. So just a reminder again, ladies and gentlemen, that if you cannot attend the semester test on campus next week Friday, you have to apply to write remotely. If you do not apply to write remotely and you cannot give us a sufficient reason for not writing on campus, then it is expected that you will be here. You will have to be on campus next week Friday. If you have not applied and you don't pitch to campus, there is no way that you will be able to write, because everything will be password protected and the passwords will only be shared to those students that's currently writing that specific session. Okay, so that is very important, that you have to be on campus. The actual details of what's going to happen next week Friday will be emailed to you next week during the next week, because we're going to have to first figure out how many people are going to write remotely. We're going to assign each and every individual student to a specific venue. You're going to have to then make sure that you're at that correct venue at the correct time so that you can write your semester test. Okay, so don't stress too much about the whole mechanisms of the day. We will clearly communicate before the time using email. So please watch your email specifically in next week to see how this is all done. Next, can we bring a UPS for semester test 2, by the way, in case of Eskom? You don't have to bring a UPS to campus. The university has actual generators, so we've got power at the university, so that's fine. What about the Thor space on the lab computers? Yeah, the Thor space, the T drives, they're supposed to be there, but we have seen that some of these computers do have problems. So yeah, if you save your files there, it should recover. But again, it's your responsibility then. All right, Mr. Makele, sir, how will the VPL track our errors? Very simple, as it just like normal. I'm not sure if you actually watched the lectures before. I have specifically made some errors historically in the lectures, and then it actually shows you the actual lines where the warnings or the errors occur. Please explain how will the remote test be conducted. It will be conducted also using VPL as well as on Eve, just like we will do the hand test or the on-site test. You will be communicated before the time with an exact password for the specific test that you will require to open the test, and you will open the test from Eve, and you will just complete the test as normally, meaning on VPL, exactly this like the guys on campus. How will the attendance be taken on campus? We will give attendance slips. So each computer will have an attendance slip. You will write your name on the attendance slip, which we will then take in. There will not be a list that will be sent through, because we don't want to spread unnecessary potential germs. So each individual student will have an attendance slip, which you will then hand in. And later on, we will also take in your design, which will be a physical piece of paper where you will have your design, and those things together with the number of students per prac venue has to all match up. So those errors also concern me. I'm not sure how it should concern you, because they were exactly as in code blocks. Okay, so this was his question. All right, please record the session. Okay, that is being done. Do we get an email after submitting to apply remotely? I don't understand. You've already received the email where you can apply remotely, stating you have uploaded successfully. No, as soon as you click the save button on VPL, you have uploaded successfully. That's why you have to complete this compulsory exercise for Friday to show you exactly how that works. What are the venues for the semester test 2? There's actually multiple venues that will be used, and we will communicate you to, so that you as an individual know exactly to which venue you will have to go to. What are sufficient reasons to write remotely? Sufficient reasons are you may have some illness that makes you specifically that doesn't allow you to go out in public. So typically, normally your comorbidities, that's a sufficient reason. And there's a few others as well. But if you look at the actual form, you will actually see some guidance on that. You have to just provide proof of of the reason for why you cannot write remotely, or why you cannot write on campus. So just to be clear, all the computers in the computer labs have code blocks installed, while you will only work on a computer with the code blocks that hasn't been installed. We are ensuring that there's only, that's why we're not going to set all the labs full. There will be enough computers in the lab that we will ensure that you can sit in front of a computer that has code blocks installed. Is it only me who cannot see the screen? No, everybody, I haven't shared anything yet. I don't think he's sharing his screen. Oh, okay. Mangwa, what if I apply to write off campus but would later want to change due to a change in circumstances? Then please just email us and then we can change that, but it has to happen fairly soon, please. So, sir, the question paper will be on Eve and not physically given. It will be on Eve and not physically given. We don't want to unnecessarily create chances for things to spread. Do the computers on campus have code blocks? Yes. Mr. and Mrs. Mangwa, I received an email stating that we might not be able to write on campus, so we should apply to write remotely just in case. I'm not sure. You should only apply to write remotely if you cannot write on campus. Okay, if you have a valid reason, then you should apply. If you don't apply to write remotely, then it is expected that you will write on campus. Venue in our exam table is our specified one. No, the exam will definitely change, and the venue is not the same for the semester tests. Sir, don't you think most of this question could have been asked on Discord? Absolutely. Is it, if remote application is successful, will we receive confirmation? Yes. Sir, would it not be a good idea to set up a separate venue for students with comorbidities? If you have comorbidities, then please do not come and write on campus. You have a valid reason, but you just need to have a doctor's note. Okay, so if you've got comorbidities, it means you've got a medical reason for not attending. Please write remotely then. If you really want to come and write, then please let us know, and we will see if we can isolate you from everybody else. Okay, guys, that's it for the start. Let's move on. So we were busy with our whole lecture, and we were busy covering one of the past papers. So I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to just show you where we were at and what we're going to do today. Okay, Mr. Mshlango, I think I've just answered that question. Please watch the recording. Right, so we were at this stage. Let's see if it's there. There we go. We were at this stage of the program. We were busy initializing our two-dimensional array, and we covered the whole section of allocating memory, and we have also initialized each of the values in the two-dimensional array to have a specific value. Currently, they've all been by default set to an empty space. And then we've created this, let's call it skeleton code, where we are going to place our three different types of characters, the recovering characters, the infected characters, and the susceptible characters. And we have to now continue with this function, which we've started creating here on top, to place a feature. And I call my function place feature because that is what happens. A character is a typical feature in a game world, but I use this type of function so often in these types of problems because we sometimes put things like boulders in the game world, or doors, or treasure, or whatever, and those are features that are in the game world. Okay, so that's why I choose to use the word feature. We specifically take in as parameter our two-dimensional array, the total number of rows and columns, and the actual feature that we want to place. So the first step for us to be able to place a feature in this fashion, where we know exactly the total number of features that we want to place, is to generate a random location. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to create a row here, and I'm going to say, go and generate a random location. And the location is between 0 and the total number of rows minus 1. And I'm going to do the same for a random column. And I'm going to say generate a random, the total number of columns minus 1. Again, the reason for the minus 1 is important. And I have made this mistake so often that I again feel that it's worth just repeating. So just a reminder, if we take this two-dimensional array as an example, how many rows do I have? I have 1, 2, 3 rows. So total number of rows are 3. But can you see we cannot generate from 0 to 3, because if I try to generate a row number 3 here, it is out of bounds. So that's why it's 0 to 3 minus 1, which is 2. For the total number of columns, I've got 4 columns here, but the last column index is 3. That's why the highest number that we want to potentially generate is 3 and not 4. That is why we've got the minus 1 there. So let's continue that. So this generates a random row and a random column. And then I'm going to create a little loop here that would evaluate this location. So I'm going to just create a little while loop here. So while, let's have a look what is in this game world now. And I'll put in the address just now where we want to. If this is not equal to an empty location, now I think I did use an empty location here. It's val empty, that's the one that I want. So if it's not empty, then continue, and we're going to do some more things. So what is this location that we have to look at? Well, the int row and the int column location that I've just generated. So look at the value that's inside this two-dimensional array. If it's not empty, then go and do it again. So let's go and do it again. Let's generate a new random row and column. Obviously, we don't declare the variable again because they're already declared. We're just reusing them. And boom, generating it. Again, check. If it's not empty, then try again. And we will continuously trying until we basically get an empty space. And then we can, actually that should be on top here. And now we can place the actual feature. So now we can say array world. That is now equal to int feature. Remember, int feature was given to us. So now we're just placing it in the game world. Where exactly? In int row and int column. That is the location. Right, let's save. Let's build. Let's see if there's any syntax errors. Connected close. No errors at all at this point in time. Great stuff. So now we're ready with our place feature function. So let's use this. So place feature. No, that's not what I wanted. I want the actual array world. For those that don't know, in the VPL, if you press the Control Space button, it tries to give you some options of what you want, what you can put in here. So this is the int rows and int columns. And this is what feature? We're putting the recovery characters in here. So this is for value underscore. What did I click now? I wanted that. Right there. Here we go. No, sorry, wrong one. Let's try again. C, Control V, there we go. So this will now place this recovery character value inside our game world. Okay, let's just get rid of that thing that I've just opened. I'm going to do the same for each of these types of characters, but this one will be for the infected character. So let's get the infected characters. And this one is for the susceptible characters. Susceptible characters. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, let's just quickly go back. Let's make sure that there's nothing else that needs to happen. During initialization, we've already done that first yellow part, and then we were busy with the second bullet that says all characters are initially randomly placed anywhere in the environment, and that's what we did just now. Okay, I think we've covered that portion of it, and we can now make use of this function in our main function. So in our main function, we have already declared our two-dimensional array. And now we are just going to initialize it. So we can say array world is equal init world. Let's have a look at the actual parameters, rows, columns, total. Okay, so forth. In fact, what I'm going to do is going to take this, and I'm going to use this as little helpers. Get rid of this ugly thing, get that out of the way. So that is the total number of rows. I think I've got that exactly the same. This variable, the total number of columns, that is correct. Total number of recovering, are they the same? So what I'm doing is I'm double clicking it, and I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but on the screen it actually highlights that section as well. So it's easy for me to see if that spelling is correct. So double clicking it, yes, that's the total number infected. And let's see if that spelling is correct. Double click, it also shows that one. Oh, there we go. That should initialize the game world. Now, one of the students did yesterday mention that won't it be better to take this portion, or at least a portion of the code that just does the memory allocation, and put that in a separate function? And that is in fact correct. It is actually better in this specific example, because when we get to this movement section, you'll see that it's better to use a temporary array to help with the movement. But I'm going to do that a little bit later on. I'm not going to worry about it right now. I just want to show you the approach and the process that I typically would go through. So I can always go and modify this code at a later stage to make it a little bit more efficient. Okay, so for now, let's initialize the array. There we go. That is done. Let's just see if there's any syntax errors. It doesn't look like it. If it's up to this point, then it's all good. Great. Now we are going to get everything ready for the main loop. And normally we want, what we need for this is again a little flag. Boolean continue. And we will set that to true, because we're going to look at this flag, and as long as this flag is true, we're going to continuously run our main loop. We also just want some variable that will take in our user input, and I'm going to initialize that to our null character. And then I'm going to create a little do while loop, do while Boolean continue. Right, and this is our main loop. So main loop, and in the main loop, what we will do is we will output the game world. So can you see I'm not getting into details right now. I'm just putting a little bit of notes and hints of things that I'm going to do. I'm going to output the game world, then I'm going to output the menu, then I'm going to read the user input. Then I'm going to handle the character movements, which is effectively the same as an update. And then I'm going to update the status of the world. And then I will check for an end state. And these are the major things that's going to happen in the game world. First, output the game world, output the menu, read the user input, handle character movements, update the status. So let's do this output the game world thing. And for us to do that, I'm going to create a little function again, put it in our library that will output our two-dimensional array for us. Okay, let's just see if there's any questions. Pause here for a sec. Sir, will we be told? Yes, we will communicate with you. Okay, I just thought I'd give a suggestion. Thank you. What is the use of int feature argument? Int feature is the value that I'm passing. So let's just go through that again. If you might have missed that, the place where I use it is specifically here. So can you see I'm actually placing what feature in the game world here? Say it in your head. I'm putting the recovery characters in the place feature in that function. Here I'm putting in the infected characters. Here I'm putting the susceptible characters. So that is why int feature is fairly generic, because whatever feature, in this case we're placing characters, they are actually part of the game features themselves. We're not going to manage them at all. we're not going to move them ourselves by giving them directions. They're going to randomly move. Okay, so that's why I've got a fairly generic variable here called int feature, and that's why we put that int feature inside our game world. Right, let's get our output function going. So I'm just going to say output world, and it's going to have to take the number of rows, the number of columns, and obviously the array. So it's a two-dimensional array, that thing. And I'm going to say that's array world. I think those are the variables that I'm going to need. Let's get this implementation. Right, so output the game world. And this one shouldn't be too difficult. It's basically just going through each value inside the two-dimensional array. So while row is less than int rows, then r++, then also for the column 0, or well, the columns, and c less than int columns, c++, boom, okay, and then look at the value. So I'm going to do that in a little switch statement, array world case, and then we'll put in a case just now, and that is for that specific row and column. And the case where it is val empty, then I'm going to do something, so typically break. So just to help me with this coding, to get it a bit faster, I'm going to copy and paste this for the different types. So one is for susceptible, one is for recovering, the other is for infected, the other one is for immune, not one too many, and a default case which I should never reach. So this is like an error place. I should never actually reach this. Incorrect array value, please check. Okay, so this is just something which, if I ever get to this line of code, then something horribly went wrong, because I should only have these values in my two-dimensional array. I have actually written a practice memo the other day, and I had actually hit this section, and there was a problem in one of my functions, so it was a good thing that I actually did put it in, because it immediately told me that something went wrong. So in this case, I'm going to cout, and it is character empty. Right, I'm going to again just, oh man, sorry about this. Tab, okay, put that in, and put that in. Let's fix this up. So this was for the susceptible character, then it's the recovering character, and then it is the infected character, and then it's the immune character. And then after that, just so that it looks nice, I'm just going to put a space in between each of these characters as well. And then when we get to the next row, I'm just going to put in an end line, end of line character. Right, that should do the basic output. Let's just see if I haven't made it. Are you guys still here? Looks like. Okay, it says that My network has failed. So that is where I can actually see my network isn't very happy. So just give me a second. I'm just going to switch over to my other Wi-Fi point. Please bear with me. I'm going to disconnect while I'm doing this. Just stop sharing this. Okay, let's try. What? It doesn't want to unmute me. Unable to unmute. Okay, I hope you guys can hear me. Okay, that's good because this thing is now totally crazy. Guys, sorry, this thing is, I've lost my network and then I'm back again. So good, I'm glad that you can hear. Let's see if we can actually share this screen again. We've got 8 minutes left in the lecture. Okay, it's all black. I'm not seeing anything yet. This is not great. Let's try again. Let's try again. Yeah, there's 9 tracks. Yeah, I know. Guys, I did post the code yesterday. So there's not much code that I've done today. If you look at on Eve yesterday, on the lectures, I did post the code up to yesterday's lecture. What I'll do is after tomorrow's lecture, I will again post the code. Otherwise, it's really not much of a difference. So come on, what's going on here? Share. Application sharing is reconnecting. Yeah, this is not great at all. It doesn't want to. Okay, I'm going to stop share this. I'm gonna just want to see if I can get at least the. Yeah, it's not working today. Let's see if that's going to work. Just want to see if I can get the code for the remote viewing or for the late viewing up at least. Yeah, it's that thing. I'm going to have to basically stop this lecture and then I just want to see quickly share a blank whiteboard perhaps. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this. The code for today's remote viewing is the following. Let me just get it. MRN 0748. For those watching this video at a later stage, that is the code that you're going to have to type in. Anything in this lecture can get a pre-recorded version of. Nothing done. Sorry about this, guys. Anyway, my tutorial starting in 10 minutes. I'm going to stop this because I just want to reboot my computer. There's something not lacking with my computer. Sorry about this, guys. Tomorrow we'll start picking up the pace, and even the whole recording has stopped. My goodness, this is not great at all. Anyway, I'll get back in here hopefully and stop the recordings and so on. Thank you guys for your patience, and for those joining us in the tutorial, see you in just a minute. Yes, we will be fine for the tutorial session. No, we're not going to finish it in our tutorial session, unfortunately. We'll start a new one because I want to continue with the whole lecture, and not everybody's joining us in the tutorial.